Hi guys, this is Alex at BlackboxMyCar.com. Today I'll be going over a Blackbox G1W. This device is probably a very familiar one for a lot of our viewers. That's because this device is pretty much being sold everywhere on the internet. The problem with this device is that there's really no one parent company that regulates or that manufactures this G1W. So there are so many different companies out there that makes this specific device, and therefore it is very, very important to choose the right supplier to get your G1W. Even for us, it's quite difficult actually to find a right supplier for Chinese devices, just because there's so many different devices out there and different versions out there. And another thing I want to point out before going further into this video is that we're not actually manufacturer of this G1W Dashcam. Just because our name is BlackboxMyCar, we don't actually manufacture. We're not the parent company of the G1W. A lot of people on Amazon especially that buy from a black box store tend to think that we're them actually and ask us to cover their warranty, but we're not the actually same company. Black box is simply called out as a dashcam in Asia, whereas here in North America people refer these devices as a dashcams, but whereas in Asia they call this device as a black box. And just because this device comes in a box called Blackbox G1W, we're not the manufacturer. Just to give that a layout first, just because we're literally getting every calls or emails every other day, and the customers actually tend to get pissed off at us just because they seem like we're not covering the warranty, just because it was purchased from Amazon, but we're not the same company. Even Amazon calls us actually, their headquarters calls us and say, hey, you need to really take care of your customer. Don't know if Amazon, that black box store, isn't really taking care of their customer, but yeah, anyways, I'll move on. Like I said, there's so many different versions, not just by that means of G1W-C to G1W battery model. So to go over with that first, G1W has two different versions. One is called the capacitor version, and you might call it as a G1W-C, and the regular version is with the battery inside. The box and everything, the features and all that stuff, it's identical between the G1W-C to G1W-B. Even the box will actually be in exact same one. The only difference is that you're gonna get a capacitor versus the battery. Battery is not too safe in the summertime, especially if you're living in a place where you get a lot of sunlight. I wouldn't really recommend having a battery model, just because there are so many occasions where these batteries would either melt or they might explode. They're not going to explode in a significant way that your car's gonna get burned down, but they basically burst a little bit. And therefore a lot of people are now looking for a capacitor version. That's because the capacitor doesn't have any batteries, or it doesn't hold any battery power, and therefore it won't explode or it won't melt away. And to give you an easy answer, if you look at the higher end models from Korea, Blackview, Fineview, those devices don't have a battery inside. They all use capacitor, and therefore you can't use it as a camcorder or anything. Some people want to use G1W as a camcorder feature, as an action cam actually, but that battery, even if you buy the battery version, the battery will only last you about 20 to 30 minutes at max. So, and when I say there are so many different versions, not apart from G1W-C to G1W-B, different factories, different companies use different processors and different lenses sometimes, and therefore I can't stress the fact that buying Chinese devices, especially the G1W, is very, very, you gotta be really careful which supplier you're going with. With that being said, this device is really, really affordable and is really, really capable. Just because this is one of the most, probably one of the cheapest devices that you can buy, it doesn't mean it lacks any features that any other more expensive dashcams might have. It does not have the GPS feature or the parking mode by motion detection feature. All the Chinese dashcams don't have something called parking mode by motion detection. I'll go into that later when we go into the setting. But this device will work out the box for you as long as you have this device set up with this power cable and plug it into your cigarette lighter jack. And as soon as you turn on your vehicle, as you can see, the red dot is blinking, meaning your video has started recording. And when you turn off your vehicle, it will stop recording. And this dash cam will loop over and over. It won't simply stop when the video card gets filled up. It will loop over and over. So you can put either 16 gigabyte or 32 gigabytes. So here's a very important note specifically with this G1W, and actually also with all the Chinese devices. My experience with dealing with Chinese devices is that you have to be very, very careful what SD card gets put in. And if you look at it, if you read or if you do research enough, you might find out that people recommend using class 4 or class 6 SD cards for this specific device. Again, different versions, different SD cards work the best, but for our own versions, I would highly recommend just using class 10. Class 4, class 6, I don't really recommend it. And with our G1W, all our customers are using class 10, and they haven't reported any issues as to missing video segments or missing clips or so. Anyways, as long as you have a micro SD card powered in properly, start your vehicle, it will turn on. When you turn off your vehicle, it will turn off. Let's go into the menu setting. So there are 3 different settings that you can go into. As you can see in this mode, this is the dashcam video mode. So if you want to go into the second mode, which is the picture mode, all you have to do is simply stop your video recording just by pressing it once, and you don't see that red light blinking. And then hit this button called mode. It moves over to the picture button, and if you want to take a quick snapshot of it, simply press this record. Takes a screenshot of this background. And if you want to go into the reviewing mode, this is the best part of having an LCD device. It can actually show you anything. As you can see, all the videos and all that stuff that's recorded on that micro SD card, you can see it. With that being said, let's go back to the video mode, and let's go into the setting of this device. Resolution: this device can offer full HD 1080p at 30 frames per second, and you can drop it down to 720p 60 frames per second, 720p 30 frames per second. And why would one want to put 720p when this device is capable of offering 1080p? If your need for this dash cam to record, let's say 12 hours or 14 hours, and if you're using 16 gigabyte, you might not be able to record all that much with 1080p, and therefore if you were to drop down your video quality, more videos can get recorded. To give you an idea, 16 gigabyte on this device will give you about 6 hours, and if you drop it down to 720p 60 frames per second, it can give you 8 hours. If you drop it down even lower, it can give you 10 hours plus. If you put 32 gigabyte by the way, then you obviously will give you a lot longer video footages. And for this device, you can only put up to 32 gigabytes. So let's go back out. Loop recording means each individual video files are going to be in either 2, 3, 5 minute interval. And off means that the video is going to be continuous. So from the moment you start your vehicle to the moment you turn off your vehicle, it will be on one fluid video. I would most likely leave it at 2 minutes. WDR, leave it on for best output, the best video resolution. Exposure, I will leave it at 0. Motion detection, I would set it for off. And this is the biggest debated subject at BlackboxMyCar. So Chinese devices don't offer, they don't, how do I say this? So speaking of a little bit of a history of the dashcam, Korean devices came out as early as 2006, and the Chinese devices came out after that, basically. And so Koreans have been the pioneers in the dashcam community, and the Korean people and the Korean culture really makes you want to put a parking mode by motion detection, because the streets are narrow. Some people vandalize nice cars just because cars are expensive. And therefore parking mode by motion detection feature is a must in Korea. We deal with the Korean companies, we deal with the Taiwanese companies, we deal with the Chinese companies, we deal with the companies in Hong Kong. Chinese, Taiwanese, and Hong Kong companies, they don't understand why would want why do Korean people need this parking mode by motion detection out of a dash cam? Dash cam is a dash cam. Dash cam is supposed to record videos when the vehicle is running, and when it's for the sake, the video footage is for the sake of covering you in the event of an accident. Why do you need to run your dash cam even when your vehicle is parked? So their mentality is, we don't get it. We don't get why Korean people need this parking mode by motion detection. But because Korean dashcam companies are doing it, and a lot of new dashcam users are starting to realize, hey, it's actually a nice idea to actually hardwire your device and use your device to protect your vehicle even when the vehicle is parked. And therefore, the Chinese dashcam companies are integrating motion detection feature. But just because Chinese devices have motion detection feature, it doesn't mean you can really use it as a parking. You can really use it as a CCTV mode. Every single time you park your vehicle, you would have to turn this device into the motion detection mode on. If you get into your vehicle, you must turn it off, or else when your vehicle comes to a red light, the video will actually stop working for you, just because you're not moving anymore. And therefore, I wouldn't really recommend this device as to cover your parking mode by motion detection. If you want to cover your vehicle, you just have to go with the Korean device when it comes to a parking mode by motion detection. I mean, as you can see, I get so many phone calls, so many emails. I have a Mini 0806. Can I use this device with the parking mode? And I can see that this device is offering the motion detection mode. Can I hardwire my device to work as a CCTV mode? Yes and no. Yes, you could obviously do it, but another thing to understand is that dash cams are not simple piece of technology, especially when you're leaving your device on. Even when the vehicle is parked, your device must work for you. And Korean companies spend thousands of dollars, thousands of hours, and so many people are just on that specific topic of parking mode by motion detection. And because in order to sell these dash cams, and in order for these dash cams to survive in the heat or when the vehicle is parked, it is very, very important that your dash cam must be running properly, and must be able to dissipate the heat even when the vehicle is parked and when it's running. But whereas I can't really say the same for the Chinese devices. As I said in the video already, I don't even know what the parent company of this G1W is, and therefore, if you're looking for parking mode by motion detection, just go with the Korean device. The bottom line as it is. Record audio. Please leave it on. I mean, you don't have to leave it on, but I think it helps if you leave it on. Then date, then time stamped, you can leave it on. If you don't want it, you can turn that off. G sensor, that's the impact mode. I generally leave it off, but if you want that device, if you want your G sensor to be on, you can definitely leave it on. It's an impact sensor, so let's say if you get hit, if you want your videos to be recorded in a different, if you just want to capture that specific segment, the G sensor mode will actually trigger a special video file on your video card, and so it is a lot easier to pull that specific video file. Anyways, that was one cycle of the first one. Let's move on to the second one. So you have to press twice, as you can see. Date and time, this is where you can set it. Ketone, I left it off. That's because every single time you click, 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 it makes a beeping noise. Another very important one. Sometimes this device comes in Chinese, but don't panic. You can still change it into all these different languages. Make sure to just go onto the second menu and down in the third row right there. AV out. NTSC is enough. Oops. Just leave it as it is. You don't really need that. Frequency also at 60 Hertz, it's fine. And all these stuff is not really important, but the Chinese devices tend to have them. Oh, so this is an important one. Screensaver. If you don't want your screen to be turned off when you're driving, when you're using it, you can leave it off. If you want it to just last for 3 minutes, after 3 minutes, the device LCD screen will turn itself off. IR. this is another very debated topic. IR is going to give you a night vision mode according to the Chinese companies. The nighttime video footage, what's important is that what kind of CMOS sensor is built into the device. And that's why if you look at Blackview and FineView, they have Sony Exmor CMOS sensor, and more companies are adopting a Sony Exmor CMOS sensor. That's because Sony Exmor CMOS sensor is known for low light situation. And the Chinese devices can't just integrate it because the Sony Exmor CMOS sensor is quite expensive, and therefore they tend to advertise themselves as okay, we're going to integrate an IR, have a night vision mode. But the problem with the IR is that it creates a lot of heat, and heat is the number one very detrimental to the device, any electronics actually. If the device isn't able to dissipate that amount of heat that gets created inside the device, that device is bound to go defective. And so I just don't recommend using IR because it creates a lot of heat, and I don't know how well this device is designed to dissipate the heat. But for the long lasting of this device, I would most likely to turn it off. CarPlay is if you were to set your own number ID on your video. Format is another important one. A nice thing about this LCD device is that you can actually format your SD card from your device. And what you can do is second row, and I think that was fourth setting. Yeah, all the way down or all the way go up, and you can see format. Format your SD card as regularly as possible. I would say every month is highly recommended. If you want to go back to the default setting, this is where you can do it, and version information. So once you're out of this setting, a lot of our customers make mistake of not starting the video recording. If you're driving, please hit this button. But when you turn off your vehicle, you don't necessarily have to touch anything. It just shuts off automatically when the vehicle power shuts down. When you start your vehicle, you don't have to again press it. You just have to press it. That's because you went into the menu setting, and in order to go into the menu setting, you had to stop your video by pressing it once. And as you can see, you don't see that anymore. So the bottom line of this device is really good device. For $75 Canadian, you really can't go wrong with this device. It's a great entry-level device, and even if you are just driving and if all you need is just some protection on the road, this device can really do for you. I will be including a sample clips towards the end of this video, so you can have a reference as to how this dashcam performs. It is a decent device. One last thing to point out is that, as you can see, this doesn't really seem all that professional. You can see a little bit of a silver marker there and whatnot. This is actually in silver, but if you want to make your dashcam even more discreet, you can put a Sharpie pen all over this silver plate, and you can make it even more discreet. Some people tend to even cover this part with a duct tape or so, electrical tape actually, the one that's black, and to make it even more discreet. One thing, however, I would say is that the suction cup mount, you're gonna see a lot of vibration in the video. That's because the distance between the car windshield to this device is greater, and obviously the greater the distance it is, it tends to shake more, and that's why it's one of the common complaints that we hear with any suction cup mounted dash cams. You see some vibration in the video, and but that's how it is actually, because of the suction cup, the way it is mounted. And to securely mount this device, to give you a little bit of a tip, is to add 1 or 2 drops of water on top of this suction cup and stick it onto your windshield like very tightly, and then lock it. But obviously before doing that, make sure to clean the surface and also the surface on your windshield. So that's my recommendations and the overall presentation of this specific device. So please feel free to email me at info@blackboxmycar.com. Subscribe to our channel for more dashcam related videos, and visit our website at blackboxmycar.com. Thank you for watching.